Hi, welcome in. In this video, I will be going over the business loan interest rates for specific products and services, what you should expect, how to set your expectations. Listen, I know a lot of us are up here. For many of us who have been listening to myself, and we've been asking, okay, what is the average amount? What should I expect? And we always come into it with that thought that I should be getting the lowest interest rate possible. So I'm going to be clearing up some misconceptions in this live. I'm going to wait for a few people to join me. Amber, how are you? And then I will get things started. And if this is the first time you are on my channel, I do come out with all types of small business loans, all types of lending, different services and different opportunities for you to take advantage of. I help you build business credit, all small business loans, real estate financing, and so much more. I've helped out plenty of people all over the place, and this way they can secure unsecured or secured type of funding that's the right fit for them. So let me know in the comment section, where are you guys tuning in from? This will be a short one, and I may make it later tonight in the evenings. Usually I do that on Thursdays. Maybe I was thinking about doing a quick live on my group, so that may still happen. But give me a wave if you can, if you guys are watching. Let me know what questions, comments, or concerns you may have. And if you've already submitted a contact form for getting funding, and I haven't responded to you, I will get to it soon. I'm actually on my Gmail. I was on there just about a minute or two ago. And then I will get things rolling. But a lot of people have been coming in, submitting their information for funding, and it's all right here between you and I, confidential. Before it goes out to an application, I like to evaluate and analyze things if needed. It's not always required that I ask for bank statements, but that's, again, always confidential. I've had people today send me theirs just to verify and see what can happen. And then I do a lot of different things, and I'll give you a quick, thorough response. And then you can choose your options if there are more than one. I give you the flexibility, and then I tell you what is the best one for you to take. So if you want to fill out a submission form for funding, please go to the bio, click the link. A few down, you can click on the submission form for business funding, and then it'll ask for bits of details. And that will be the fastest way at this moment in time to get a hold of me. And I do come out with content here with TikTok, but when I don't get on a direct messenger, I don't always have the time. There are so many that I have to just look through these emails, and it's better for me because I get to see all the information already gathered, as opposed to me asking and asking over and over, one after the next. Not sure if you're going to respond right away. When are you going to be there? When are you not? So email is going to be the fastest way. So I'm going to give this a little bit of time to... We have a few more people joining in. Hi guys, welcome in. I think I should have changed the title on this live. I didn't change that. See, sometimes me with tech, I could do it well nowadays, but sometimes I forget little things like that. Oh, like earlier, if you guys got an email response from me, I sent another one out just recently, and I might continue to send a little bit more, because one of the links, it's a business line of credit program. The hyperlink, you click it, it'll go to a video, so it shows you your options. It went to my Bank Breezy. It's a different product, so I went to a different product, so I had to resend that email again with a correction. So if you got that one, and if you didn't have it in your email where I mentioned anything about an alternative or a business line of credit hybrid, then you don't have to worry about it. So not everybody got that email, because either I didn't send you the first one with the alternative business line of credit hybrid, but if you did get one of those emails, I've resent it, and there's still quite a few. So sorry, my mistake on that. The link got connected with one of my other programs as I was sending them. So I didn't get one. Okay, I think you just recently did send one too. I think it was the other day. Yeah, the ones that came in just recently, I haven't gone to all of them. And then I got more stacked on the day, so I had to go through those ones, and I will go through them in a little bit. So if you could please give me a little bit of time for that. then I'll get them back to you. But if you can remind me of your name, that would be great, because I know I can't see the name from right here. That way I can search it up, and I want to make a note of it here. And then everything I know about will go into my Excel spreadsheet so I can make sure I follow up with you guys appropriately. And for those of you who are watching, if I've already sent you an email, like, I'm going to be patient with you. Like, don't worry, I won't try to send too many, like many people do. But, fill out an application. I get it doesn't hurt you. And you're still in that evaluation step where you want to learn and understand what other offers are available to you. But, like, at the same time, you got to understand what everybody else is trying to get you to do. And it might not be the best thing for you. So when I send an email out, please open it. That's at the very least you can do, is just please open the email and then read through it. It's not going to be like high sales pressure. I don't do anything like that. I'm informing you. I'm showing you about how all of it works, and I give you all the different programs. For those who know, you know that I've sent you all this stuff, and I've had a lot of great people today responding back to that and thanking me, and I'm grateful for it, because I do take the time. I spent some time last night going through these emails and making sure I personally and customized it to make sure they reflect what you are trying to get. So when I take my time on these, please refer to those emails. Maybe I'll send you a quick text if you provided me with your phone number. I won't call you right away for the most part, unless need be. And there are people who submit these forms. I get you're busy, you're a business owner, you have to run your own business. But at the same time, it's expected that when you fill one of these forms out, just know you're going to get a response back. And there are many instances where I'll follow up with the business owner like 2 to 3 days after. I'll say, hey, did you check your last email I sent you, by the way? And it's usually a no, or it didn't come through. And it's something so simple, like just going through your account and just doing a quick search. If I'm on Gmail, and some of us are on like Yahoo, Hotmail, all these different accounts, if I'm on my Gmail, I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to go to my panel over here, and I'm going to go through every inbox. Usually it lands in the spam box, so make sure you refer to that. That's where it usually will land at the very beginning. You can move it into your primary folder, but make sure you do that. Gmail to Yahoo connection sometimes doesn't always go through, so you'll see me send you an email through my personal account. So be aware of that, and I'll let you know. That's why it's always important that you provide me with, I know I get it, you don't want me to see your mobile number. I like business numbers too, but mobile numbers, what that allows me to do is send you a quick text. The business number, if it's connected to your company, it might not always go, the landline, or something's going to happen where it disconnects. So make sure that if I'm sending you something, please take the time, sit down. I know if you're busy, it only takes a matter of seconds. I send you an email and I send you a text. And if that text doesn't go through, sometimes I have to call because I didn't get a response back in some time. And I'm not saying within the same day. It's like, I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? Like when I get on a call, I'm not going to pressure you. I'm just asking you, hey, I sent you an email a few days ago. Did you happen to see it? Oh, no. And so for me, it's like, why even bother? Why take a few minutes? It doesn't even take a minute. Literally, it just takes, you can get it done in under 30 seconds. Why take those 30 precious seconds of your energy and your time to fill out a form? And then when I respond back, I take my time. By the way, I take a lot of time on these. Why do that if it's not going to be reciprocated? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's 30 seconds of your time, and you might not think about it a lot, but I do. I manage every little second of my time. I'm very like, where's my energy going? No, it's not being used effectively there. Let's restructure and let's come up with a new game plan. Okay, I did this once. Well, let's not do that again. Now this is going to happen. Now that you guys know about that, let's get into the nitty gritty of what this video is all about. This is what you guys came here for. And this is going to be the average business loan interest rates by different loan types. And I don't want to hear it after this video. Well, I should have had a 2% interest rate, or you're telling me it's a 40%, it's a 30%. And I don't mean to be like, I wanted to say bad, but mean about it. But this is the truth. This is the reality when you come online with private lenders who are giving away their money to you. If I was a lender, which my little brother, by the way, is recommending me I become a lender. It might happen in the future. Do you believe I will give you my money and 100% believe you will pay me back? Let me know in the comments. The answer is obvious. I don't have to say it. And so let me go in through these right now. So a traditional bank loan, and at any moment in time when you guys are watching me, let me know what your thoughts are. And I'm going to list a few products here, but let me know what your expectations are for getting funding. What are your interest expectations? What are the terms? Because like I said at the beginning of this video, and I've said it in other ones, our expectations are way too high. And I get it. I've been in your shoes. I've been there time and time, and I can't stress it out enough. Like when I first got funding online, I was like, what? Like, no, where are the SBA loans? Actually, I'm going to go get a grant. The problem with that is they come and they go. It's kind of like getting on a high, right? When you were younger, you went from one girlfriend to the next. Maybe you weren't even dating, but you're like, oh, this is this one. Oh, no, there's this girl. Oh, no, there's this boy. So you go from one to the next, jumping all over the place. And you're fixing the symptoms. Go into the diagnosis is, if you're a startup, you fix it by building business credit. And then you find ways of generating revenue through your business. You can do that through your business credit profile. That's one of the many ways. So traditional bank loans, 2 to 13%. And I know some of you guys in this room right now are thinking, well, it's already looking good. We're going to keep it between this range with the other ones, right? Keep listening. An SBA loan, 3.25% to 8%. And these are the notes that I put together here on my screen. That's why I'm looking. 3.25 to 8%. Now, we're not doing any complicated numbers right now. This is stuff that I do every day, by the way. I really assess, how are you doing in revenue? What is the funding amount you are wanting? Maybe I asked you what your expectations are for rates and terms. Let me calculate to see what the amount in daily, weekly, bi-weekly, and even monthly would turn out to be. And then what makes sense and what's the actual interest rate. I have had people, literally people who are obnoxious, people who are rude, they go to the length of, they block me sometimes on these chats. And because I tell you the reality. You don't want to hear the reality. You want to hide in your la-la land. You want to hide behind your business. But to get to a higher place, you have to take a higher risk. And it's all about understanding what you need, what your business is currently in for right now, what it will be in for in the future, and looking into the past to understand where you've been, where you don't want to be, and where you want to increase to. So 3.25% to 8%. And I'm not saying any type of SBA loan. I'm just saying what on average you would expect. And this is why so many people gravitate to it. It's really a lot of the times because of the interest rates. And yes, we can make a case that it is a monthly payment. That also has something to do with it. But if you think about the average amount somebody got for an SBA loan, and we're talking about kind of like all across the board, not just EIDLs, we're talking about 115 to 120,000. In the grand scheme of things, when billions, 9.6 or however much billion that was, that's not a lot. And I'm not going to get into how many people got one, and that's not the time for this video. If you guys want to learn all about SBA EIDL, make sure you guys go to the channel in the bio, click the YouTube icon, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. I come out with content on all types of small business loans, SBA EIDL, grant opportunities. If you guys need that, go to the bio, click the link, go down to Grant Opportunities 2022. Right, we got to be very resourceful, guys. We got to know, okay, if this guy has a link in his bio, I'm going to go check that out. Before I ask a question, that's very obvious. It's right there. I'm going to go look for it. We're all business owners. We're entrepreneurs. We're adults. Now, SBA loans. SBA 3.25 to 8%. Again, I want to reiterate the point. So we just went a little bit higher, a 1.25 from a traditional bank loan to an SBA loan. So not much of a difference there. But with the interest rates, these are annually, by the way. So we have 2 to 13% AARs, by the way, that's what it stands for. And then SBA's 3.25 to 8%. Online loans, you would expect there to be a 7% to 100%. You're like, oh, here we go. Now he's getting into this. So again, like I said, these are annual interest rates, and I have my own table right here. And then I separated them by loan types. So this is what is to be expected, and we're not dividing this on interest only. If we're talking about real estate and other parts of business loans, this is just AIR. So 7% to 100%. Some of you guys probably just dropped like flies right now, and we're like, well, I think I know where this guy's going. You don't. So 7% to 100% is what is expected on an online loan, right? We're just 1% below the highest maximum here for an SBA loan. So 7% to 100%. That's about an 80% increase from a traditional bank loan, and then a little bit less than that for an SBA loan. So what you are expecting needs to be shifted. Your expectation of me, your expectation of your lenders, your underwriters, because I hear it all the time. The lenders will get on, or the underwriters will get on the phone call sometimes when it's need be, an analyst or in a phone call, and if they properly tell you these kind of things, don't be surprised. If I tell you these things, don't block me. Don't be that absurd person. I won't say names, but they went to the extent of changing things, and I was very nice about it all. And their expectations was up here. So go get an SBA loan. Oh wait, no, you don't. You can't have one because you don't have the right credit score, or maybe your revenue. Maybe it's all these different things. You don't have the time in business. Oh, so when you're fighting the battle against the interest rate, you know what that tells me? Even without gathering sufficient data, you know what it tells me? One, it's your expectations. I get it. Not everybody knows. That's what I'm here to educate you guys on. And then two, you in your business, it fluctuates in revenue. The cash flow, there's some seasonal problems. Something goes down, especially in like the trucking industry. That's what you see a lot. And so it's like something happens, boom. You have maybe had a 60K month, boom, 20, 30K. Oh, you don't want this route where you get a lump sum? Okay, well, let's try a business line of credit then. If you have different purposes that you want to use it all for, but you don't want to get a lump sum of that amount, well, a business line of credit, you're looking at about the same thing. Maybe a bit of a different payment type. Maybe you'll usually say daily and weekly and then monthly. But don't count on it always being a monthly payment. Even if it's a weekly thing, great. We can do that sometimes with lump sums. And I won't get into the specifics on how you can do that. If we've spoken, you'll know. And if you qualify for a specific service, you'll know how you may be able to get a weekly payment. But don't fuss. Don't throw your hands up in the air. You know, like that guy who in the car, like the dealerships where they have like that floating device. You know, the little like purple guy or the little purple monkey, or you have the little tube guy just putting his hands up in the air, just kind of getting upset. Don't be that person. So our shift has to go down. And if it hurts a little bit, and I'm not digging deep here, guys, it should. I know it did for me, but if somebody doesn't tell you these things, who will? So an merchant cash advance, so it somewhere falls between the same thing. If we're talking about online loans, business term loans for the most part. So merchant, and I want to, before I go to this next one. So online loans, if it's a business term loan, I've had people who are like, well, you're telling me I'm going to have to pay from 25 to 50% on interest, total cost of capital? It's a yes for the most part. That's what you're going to see in this industry. Where else are you going to get 10%, 5%? Yeah, you can go do this with an SBA. If you qualify for a traditional bank loan, there's no reason for you and I to be talking. Or two, there is a reason, but the debt to income ratio, maybe you're in real estate, the amount of properties you're taking on and what you're doing, and there's so many different cases for this. But this is why you're seeking alternative lending, because it is very high risk. High risk enough, and then there's very high risk. So I had a spammer calling me. So then we have merchant cash advances, 20% to 250%. You're thinking in your mind, it's not getting any better. Well, again, does the benefit exceed your repayment? It's not always about the interest, and you got to stop with this like, yeah, there's a specific place and time for these loan sharks and predatory type of loans, But this isn't predatory. If just because you see a higher interest, each person has their own business structure. You may not be able to afford it, but somebody else can. You're not in the growth or expansion phase, but somebody else is, or you're both in the same place, but your revenue just fluctuates. You see, it's not all based on credit score. If it was based just off of credit score, maybe you can go and apply for a personal loan or for some other type. But if we're looking at revenue, you're like iffy because you don't see what I see. And this is why I educate you guys on this in the channel, and I even bring on information from our underwriters, from our lenders, things you don't get in other channels. People in other channels, all they do is talk to you about grants and this, grants and that. It's so easy to come up with content like that. Nothing against them, but I do that too at times. I just don't do it as fully. So a merchant cash advance is 20% to 250%. That is pretty high. Now we can talk about loan sharking there and being predatory, because if they charge you like outrageously 80, 90+%, yeah, that's a high amount. But you also have to take into consideration how high risk of an industry you're in. What is your profile like? So you won't always get the same thing that somebody else gets. From 20% to 250%. So I had an individual the other day who I gave them a scenario. They wanted to know how much the cost was going to be. So I told them, if you want this amount, here's what the repayment will be, based off of the criteria and the details you've given me. And I still have to look through it more thoroughly with the underwriters and so forth. But based off of what I know, we might get you in for a 1.2 payback. It's kind of like a factor rate, but not exactly. And so off of that 150,000, maybe around 198,000 in payback, and then we just do some numbers, and I'm not going to get into it here, but I did that all, and I kind of broke it up into chunks and said, okay, this was going to be your daily, weekly, bi-weekly, and even monthly payment. And so then when I did the math myself too, yeah, it came out to be around 30% more or less. And so that person, I believe, was fussing about it, but I don't know, I haven't heard back. So, for their own good. And this is what I'll do. If that happens, if I still have a place like an email where I can send you it, and I want to send it to you because I'm trying to help you. If you want to hear me out, good. If you don't, go ahead, look in other places and see what happens when you go and apply and you're like, well, this place also asked me for a higher interest rate. And then you're going to be thinking, well, maybe I should have thought about that email he sent me. I should have read into it. What was that about? Because in that email I've sent like, hey, I just want to set your expectations straight, so just in case you go anywhere else, you know what to expect. This is for your own good. Not to be mean or not to lash back at you for not continuing the process, but this is what is expected. With the profile and the information you provided me with, this is what you are going to see more or less. And then I just left it nicely. So I'm just trying to help you. I'm not trying to get angry with you. I'm just trying to help you. And I've had people today who they want to qualify for like a load amounts in trucks. And so they put a funding amount of so much, but we have to look at the profile, the credit, the revenue being generated. Do you have a down payment? If you have this much going for you, can you put down maybe, if you're a little bit higher, can we put down a 10 to 15? If you're not, maybe it'll be a 15 to 25%. Well, I don't have any. Well, you won't get your trucks. Or your trucks. Why? Because your credit score, your revenue doesn't permit it. Your time in business, maybe you don't have 2 years plus of driving history. Maybe you don't have 100% ownership of your home, mortgage. So there are all these little factors, and in that industry, it's a very high risk thing. So we can submit applications, but we have to meet the criteria. So 20% to 250%. Merchant cash advances, that's one of the fastest ways for you guys to get funding. This is one of my preferred ways, honestly, when we look at it all, when I look at everything, and everybody has a different profile. So I may say, okay, you do qualify for that business term loan. Actually, that does make sense because you do need it for this type of expansion. Actually, you're gonna get a warehouse, or you have a warehouse, but you want to build more square footage, and then you have to bring on these employees to do all this extra work to help you out in your business. That doesn't look like about a year's worth of project, or even 2 years. I think we can push it out a little bit more, so it makes sense. And there are many other cases. But even if you did qualify, I would say no at the same time, because if I'm understanding what you need the funds for, Sometimes you may need over 100K, and we listen to me, please. We think we need a monthly longer 2+, and I'm talking about 2+, and that's kind of falling into the 2+ to 5+ is like medium in a way, and then 5 to 10 it's a longer. Anything like 2 years and below, it's usually a short term. And so we believe we do, but we don't. So I've had a lot of people who are like, honestly, I'm just looking for these monthly payments. And yes, they want more than 100K, and they may qualify for more than 100K, but that doesn't justify the fact that you will be getting these longer and even monthly terms. When people offer you monthly terms, a lot of the times it's because you have a longer term period. Like if we're giving you monthly payments, it's a big reason for it is because we're giving you a lot more time. We're not talking about 18 months. We're not talking about 24 months. We're probably talking about 24+ months. That's a lot of the times what you will see in this industry. So don't shy away. Merchant cash advances are one of the best and most fastest ways to do it. And similar to business term loans, where you're talking about 7% to 100%, it's expected. I mean, does the benefit exceed the repayment? If it doesn't, it makes sense to move forward with it. And don't fuss about these. Well, I don't get monthly payments. I may get a weekly payment, but for the most part, I'll get a daily payment. But I can work with that because I have sufficient cash flow. I don't need to worry about that. But if you're in a crunch and you don't have sufficient cash flow, or you feel that you are going to suffer in the days, in the weeks, in the months, years, not even years. Years is looking at it a little too far. I like that we future pace, but we have to look at it in the shortest amount of time and then make a quick assessment off of it. And so daily payments work extremely well because they cause less defaults. You couldn't believe one of my very first people that I helped try to get into, they have a trucking company. Maybe you're watching here and maybe we learn from this, but wasn't as open enough to tell me that they had a default. Maybe I wasn't as specific. Maybe I could have reiterated it a few more times, but we don't tell somebody something because we want to just go through the application and see for ourselves, but we end up wasting our energy and our time. Just as effectively as, hey, do you meet the minimum revenue? No, but people still apply. Okay. Well, let's see what other options may be available for you. Maybe the private lender route won't work. Maybe working capital with PayPal. Maybe payability, something for Amazon sellers and e-commerce, which is one thing that I'm helping out a lady with right now. She has a huge following, and she has e-commerce. She does Amazon selling. She does even modeling. She does a few things, and she's a rock star. And I'm in the process of helping her out, and I'm trying to help her get funding. I've given her options. We've discussed. I already showed her everything about how this all works. And then we're at the last step where I'm going to send her some more information where she can watch the reviews, she can understand the company a little bit more, and know what she's really, and I said this, so you can know what you are getting yourself into. But if you don't even take the time to open up an email, look, I'm seeing people right now. Yep, there's one right there. I do appreciate you if you're submitting the form. I very much do. If you're watching right now, like I'm seeing these coming in, and I will evaluate these. Don't answer phone calls from people from like New York or people who wake up like at 4 in the morning. Like I don't even wake up at 4 in the morning anymore. Like I wake up early, but these people are on their phones, going off, calling you maybe over and over, calling the next person. I don't do that. I couldn't live like that. I couldn't live with myself. I'm an introvert. And so, yes, we're seeing people coming in, and that's great amount of detail. I won't say the details here because again, that's between you and I won't use this as an example unless you wanted me to. And for anybody listening right now, if you want me to use an example, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I know everybody is listening right now, please leave them to me. I will do my best to answer them at the end of this video, but I want to continue going, and I might upload this onto the YouTube channel so you guys have all of this that you guys can refer back to. Now, let me come back to my document as I was moving over. So, quick few 1 or 2 points on the MCA, which is a merchant cash advance. Oh, for those of you who do not know this, with the merchant cash advance, this is basically where you get, you guys don't listen to, there's a person commenting from Smith. I don't know if I can kick people off of here. I don't really do that much, but in this is, they're talking about Telegram and Caligram, whatever it is, but they're all talking about how, if you guys see my videos, you'll notice how there's these commenters. Please don't listen to them. They're just scammers. They're spamming you. They want to take your information. I don't set that up. That's not me. Some people may think that like, oh, this guy, he's reached out to me, or he has people that are commenting on his videos. Maybe it's some kind of a set. And it's not a setup. I do this on my own. These people just happen to just jump on the comment section. And for those of you who said I'm not listening to you, and I've seen those comments, great job. Keep it up. So over here, merchant cash advances are basically where you're given an advance, like a lump sum. It's not technically a loan. It's in the loan category, but it operates a little differently because of the types of the calculations on how we look at interest rates. We calculate this on factor rates, differences in APRs and AIRs and things like these. So I won't get into the technicality of it. It'll bore you. So merchant cash advances, you get a lump sum, and it's basically based off of your credit card transactions. Ask yourself, does your business take any kind of like credit card processing, credit card transactions? How many are you making? And a lot of us do, right? We use a lot of things for credit. We're not putting everything on a debit. We're using credit a lot of the times. And even if it's debit, it can work, but a lot of these credit card transactions are what we look at. And it's usually where they take a future percentage of your credit card receivables and debit card. So whatever you're making in one day, if you make a lower amount, they can take out a lesser amount. You make more in one day, they take out more. So it depends on like a fixed percentage of it. So it may be like 20, 30% of those daily sales or so forth, but it can become a burden at cases. Again, depending on where you are. To you, it may be, but to somebody else, it's like, it doesn't matter if I have a high day, I get taken more out, and I'm increasing my profits, and I'm not going to have to be repaying this forever. That's why it's an advantage to have a short-term solution as opposed to a long-term one, because with like business term loans, and I explain this to you guys in your emails if you guys have been filling out forms, if it makes sense, if it's even an option, that with longer terms, you pay longer amounts of interest over time. So the total cost of financing ends up becoming a lot, if not tens upon hundreds upon hundred thousands we're talking about. And it can be a significant difference in terms of monthly. If we're talking about, let's say with a merchant cash advance that's shorter term, maybe you had a 15-month, and then with a business term loan, you had 3 years. But you didn't really need all those 3 years, yet you had it, and you paid it off in 18 months. And then it's like, well, you have all this extra time now that you're having all these extra added interests that you just can't easily take away. And now you're paying an extra where you would have saved. Yeah, it depends on each case, but I've seen many cases here where people have spent over $100K on interest alone on things they didn't even need. And then I had another individual the other day who I showed them the numbers. I'm like, listen, if you go with this as opposed to the longer term, you end up saving yourself around $66,000. That's a lot. If that's not a lot of money, it is a lot to me. It doesn't matter how I'm doing well financially. $66,000 in your pocket is going back to the lender. And there are different cases, 10, 20, it could be less. It could be a little significant, like 5,000, 10,000, depends. But in a lot of these cases where we need longer terms, the total cost of financing just blows up off the roof, and you're stuck with these payments. And if you can't make them on time, something's happening from season to season again, you have this huge monthly payment at the end of the month, you go into a default, you will never be able to get funding ever again. This is how it works. You go into a default. I have an individual, one of my first ones, as I said, was doing over over 135K plus per month. I really wanted to help him and his wife, but you have a default. And one other thing too, and I said this in the other video, that don't apply to every place at once, right? Don't go to, like, example, you're applying for a marketplace that lend you, and then you have an offer, you go and apply at that one, and then now you have another place where you go send an application, and then you get an offer here, and then you're getting an offer there. What that does is the lenders communicate. And I see these things too. The lenders get the files. They have a system where they can see like how many or who you've been applying to, because it gets sent and dispersed. And they're like, well, this person applied for 5 different merchant cash advance companies and they got 4 different offers. What's going on here? They accepted. No, they haven't accepted anything yet. Okay, they applied for an MCA, and then they also applied here for a business line of credit, and then they applied for a business term loan there, and then they applied for an SBA EIDL loan here. What is happening? And in most cases, with SBA ADLs and SBA type of loans, there could be an addition, right? There could be an addition to these other ones with like the business term loans, MCAs. And another one here we have on our list, invoice financing. And I'll kind of round up the video here, and I'll get into business lines of credit in a moment. But thank you guys for listening. I do appreciate your time. Give me a wave. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'm over here in Vancouver, Washington. I'm still drinking my tea, and it's 1:11 Pacific Standard Time. And so invoice financing, 13% to 60%. Now, we're talking about a little less invoice financing, right? Using these customer receipts, you get a loan in return. If that's the case, you can go down the invoice financing, invoice factoring route. But I won't get into the details on how you can go and do all that. If you guys want to learn more about all of this, keep up to date on all types of business loans. Understand, I'll be releasing a video, I think maybe tonight, I'm not sure when, but I spoke about the 8 bank statement issues. I brought it to you after speaking with my lenders, understanding what the underwriters have to go through, what we're all looking at. This is very valuable stuff that I should be uploading sometime soon, hopefully. But this is stuff you do not just hear out from anybody. This is stuff we look at. And if you are upset about the funding amount you're getting, I had an individual the other day, wanted I think like $30K or so, but they took a $15K offer. Absolutely understandable. Because I spoke to that individual before. We went through the expectations. Even if it was, I had to get on a call. I think it was a little later, just informing them that I sent them an email. Like it was that short. I sent you an email. Can you please look at it? Boom. Yes, I've looked at it, and I will get back to you. Done. Bye. Not. Oh yeah. 50,000. No, let me do the numbers over the phone. Nope. I don't do any of that. So that individual got what he needed, and he's gonna make it. And he's going to put it to good use. But if you come from the mind that, oh, well, I didn't get the 30K, so why should I take 15K? Well, if it doesn't make sense to take it, then you don't do it. I mean, if you really needed that 30K for one specific purpose, for a project that required you to have 30K or just close enough to it, then I get it. And there are other things like cash flow, and maybe there's people who will actually have the revenue. And then this is a good tip. You guys can, let's say you won't have 100K per month in revenue, 100, maybe 98, maybe you're around like 90, around that amount. And you're thinking, well, if I can get 1 to 2x, usually you can get 1 to 2x per monthly. And with those 3 numbers I said, and if you have a good enough credit score and you have enough time in business with a few other things in there that are just going to approve you for it, then that 1 to 2x, you can get closer to it. So, you can get from 100 to 200. 100% to 200%, and it can vary off of different types of business loans, but that's why cash advances are a huge thing, and it's one of the highest approvals of all of them. So MCAs are one of the highest approvals with like over, I believe it's over 79%, over 80% that get the most approval. And one of the biggest reasons is because a lot of people can only qualify, but it's not only because of that. If you qualified for more, it wouldn't always make sense to do a different one. And it's a place and a time for it, and it's not always necessary. So that is, let me see this one over here. Let me look at one more, and then we'll close up here. So let me see my docs. What is this down here? Okay, yeah, so I pretty much explained this with the interest rates for like business lines of credit, though, similarly to what you would see maybe with, I don't want to say exactly business term loans, but that mixed with the cash advance. So you can get low, I mean, maybe 10, 12%, 12% plus, 44% plus, but it's not always the case. It depends on every single person, and there are different types. You can get it through a bank, you can do it through us as alternative lenders, and so forth. But I believe that will be everything. I'm going to get off here in just a minute. I'm going to wait to see if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns. Did you guys get value out of this video? Let me know. I try to do this every Thursday. I went live a little bit yesterday. I did it on Monday. I try not to do it too much, but maybe if you guys enjoy seeing this, if you guys want me to come out with anything else, you guys can leave me a comment here, send me an email. leave them to me on my channel. And I'm going to continuously be here to help you guys understand, inform you guys that, look, if you don't see the value out of what you're getting, then it doesn't make sense. And then if you do see the value in what you're getting, then let's move forward with it. No questions asked. But there are times where you can ask me questions and I'll be very up and honest with you. I'm never going to give you something that wouldn't make sense to you, period. Just for a commission, no. I wouldn't do that. I haven't done it to this point. I will never do it. And I will always be like, hey, so you have this criteria? Well, let me see. Let me go run some numbers. Let me check to see my programs. What are the actual qualifications here? And then I'm going to write it all down, and I actually put it all into an email, and you guys get it all. But just a few FAQs. I'm not sure if I'll be here at the end of the Friday or Saturday or Sunday, but a lot of people have been asking about, and I have a list, so actually let me look at them here so I don't have to go off the top of my mind. Oh yeah, one of these questions is like, how much time in business do I have to qualify for longer terms? Now that's a very common one. So that is, it depends on the program or the service. The industry standard now has kind of gone up because of COVID and a lot of other factors in the economy, inflation and everything else happening. That has taken away the value in certain products and services. And so it's kind of added up. And so what we're looking at preferably is 2+, but even better is 3+ years in business. Again, it depends on the service, and it also depends on revenue. It depends on credit score. It depends on more factors that we look at on the back end. But the longer time you have in business, the higher chances you have of affording or getting a monthly term. But again, we have to look at other cases like it always comes down to, does it even make sense? The use of your funds. And sometimes we don't calculate that. We don't see that as business owners. We think we need it because we feel like we have a better safety cushion by taking the monthly payment. And in cases it is because our cash flow. And sometimes that may be the only thing we look at. And when we have sufficient cash flow, then it's okay. Do it. Makes sense. You have a track record. Our lenders, our underwriters, I trust you. So do it. I've had people who have taken so much and they keep coming back for more. But we all got to wake up to this and realize, like, what's in the best interest for me? And am I shutting myself down? Those two things. What's in the best self-interest for me? But am I shutting myself down? All right, let's see what other questions people have here. And if you guys want to get like specific information on specific loan scenarios, I know people always like to come in here and ask me about what is the status on my SBA IDL. Go to the channel, guys. The bio, click the link of the YouTube icon. You can also go to the link and you go scroll down, and I think there's one still for SBA IDL reconsideration. You guys can pick up a free template there. All grant opportunities, a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist, and if you guys want to submit funding details so I can look it over, analyze it, evaluate it, and give you a proper response, please submit it. I've already had people who are watching here submit one, so I'm grateful. And then they're coming from other spots as well. But I thoroughly take my time on this. I won't heckle you. I won't push you to do something you don't want to do. But again, like I said in the beginning of this video, I have to follow up with you. And, you know, if you're serious about doing it, do it. If you're not, don't waste my time. And don't waste our time and energy, especially my energy, because I put a lot of thought into these emails, if need be. And just doing it for the heck of just doing it, it helps, so you know, I get it, but let's get on the same page here. And I've already helped out plenty of people today, and hopefully I can help you in the future, in the near future. So here we have another one, and I'm going to leave it off with this one. Okay, so this one is specifically pertaining into like would it make sense to do. This is the one I wanted to pick. Would it make sense to do a daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly type of payment deal for me? And they have like their information, which I won't specifically say it out loud here because again, that's confidential. So I will give you a barometer. So let's say, because I've had this a lot, I have people who maybe do very well in revenue. They say they want 20K and they're doing about 80K per month, but all they need is 20K. Now, I know the answer to this, but maybe you guys can tell me in the comment section what you think would be the best solution for it. Now, with just asking for 20K, that's not a lot in the grand scheme of getting business loans, even real estate financing. It doesn't make sense that for 20K we have to give you this monthly term, because monthly terms usually equate to longer times. We're talking usually 2+ years in business. So for 20K, you want a monthly payment? And maybe you know it or not, but you're asking for 2+ years in business here. So the 20K here for a monthly at 2+ years, you're never going to get that, period. And for 20K, maybe you're asking, let's reverse engineer. For monthly now, we're talking about, I like reverse engineer stuff. By the way, college and stuff like that, loved the calculus classes and statistics, but as well as chemistry. So you're over here wanting 20K, and I got to fit you into the bucket here to get you a monthly term with 2+ years. Even if you knew that or not, that just won't happen. So we go to our second phase. We come backwards from the derivative. We move back here and we say, well, does even a biweekly, and I put biweekly and weekly in the same bucket. So can we get 20K here with a biweekly payment? Perhaps we can, but still that's low enough of what they're asking for. But then we look at over here and say, well, what are they doing in revenue? What is their credit score? Are they an A, B, C, D paper lending client? Well, no, that person has a low 550. They have for this case, we'll keep it at the 80K. So they have good revenue, they have low FICO credit score. Maybe they have a year's worth of business, so that already disqualifies you from this 2+ year category. And so over here you have 80K in revenue. So that's where we believe because of the revenue, but we don't actually see it all. And what's actually the truth of it all is the payment history. When we go into your credit and we understand like what types of payments are you making, how fast are you paying them, what's your utilization, less than 30, less than 35% utilization rate. Are you taking this long to make the payments, and why are you doing that? What are those types of payments that are making you take that long? Why are you taking on this amount of debt? What's your debt to income ratio? And so when we look at all these little parts, and then we say, well, no, with 20K you're asking for 80,000 in revenue you're doing with a 550 FICO, forget it. Weekly doesn't exist. You just do not have enough. We have in that 550. Some of you guys are very open with me, which I greatly appreciate that, even without asking in moments. And a lot of times I don't ask about the history of it myself, but I'm very appreciative of you guys being open with me and being comfortable like that. And if you're not, hopefully I can earn your trust. I believe in earning people's trust. I don't believe in just getting anything. I've never gone just anything in my life. Like I've had to work for things, even though I've been brought up in a good family and I haven't had to like from the pitfall struggle. But going to school, educating myself, and then going away from the education system, and then working really hard. Like I didn't want to continue with school at a point, and so I went back into the workforce, and little did I learn how hard it really was. Like I was a Division I soccer athlete, and then I went to the workforce before finishing. I was in a situation in California where I was basically on my own. I grew up in California, but I was in Bakersfield, and then I moved away because this isn't the life that I wanted. And so I went away, and then I went into work after some time in university, and then came back to California. After leaving that, I came to Washington, back to California. I worked hard in construction with my uncle. That opened my eyes to the whole world right there, because basically I was working field position, and I was having to be the person. I know maybe if you guys are in construction, you guys probably can relate with this, but I had to be the person who carried the equipment to. They were doing manholes in sewers, so rehabilitation. So I had to pick up the equipment and bring it into the hole. Saw the people painting everything with the gun. I saw everybody getting in there, flushing everything out. And, for me, it was just what I had to do at that age when I was younger. Being educated and all, and having to learn different parts of life, that opened me up hugely. And it taught me, like, oh, I don't think I want to do this. But I put myself in those positions, and then I went into manufacturing, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. And then I worked with my dad for a good amount of time, and I got basically I got there was an older, I don't want to get into the specific details, but there was a veteran there. Veterans, I'm not saying you're stuck in your ways, but you won't always give somebody space to do it. You always want to be the person who has the full control of it, and even if there's another person who can qualify. But I had somebody who basically was trying to basically screw me over. And I had already learned how to do it all, like how to run the machines. And this was for aerospace back in the day, younger 20s, 29 now. And they didn't want me to take over. Like, I had been ready to run the machine and punch out the little drill bits that I needed to do for the production. And a day goes by, another two, and then I'm like, is this guy ever gonna help me, let me do it on my own, or what's going on? Like, I was ready a couple days ago. And so that confidence, like, kind of just, and then you forget about how to do something because you never because you've never been given it enough to, like, do it on your own. And so that was one place, but I learned a lot from there, moved in different positions. I was actually running blueprints at a point for the company, and then they had to terminate some positions. Done ramp agent work, warehousing before all of this, what I've been talking about. And then I did some production back then, and then I got into a lot of office work, which is what I should have done from the beginning. But you live and you learn, and it's always good to do that because you get a broader perspective of every single industry. And so unlike most people who do not have that, I do. I know the manufacturing, I know the constructions, I know the warehousing, I know the logistics. That's what I did one of my previous roles before I started doing a lot of this. Business and logistics was one of the latest ones. So I was handling a lot of paper for HP. And I kid you not, both mentally and physically, working myself hard. And, I was that employee, and then thinking, should I go back to school and finish at least 1 year of education, because I've already had 3+ years of school, university, and then I did community. And so I thought, maybe more certifications. I've had too many of them. So I had to go a whole different route and come back to where I was in the beginning. So you learn all this. And so for those who are thinking, I'm just the guy who sits behind the computer and just gives you some numbers, I'm not. Maybe I don't act, or I don't present myself like I maybe did years and years ago, when you would think I did a job like construction, or I did a job like what I told you. But the reality is that I'm here every single day to help you guys, just like every one of you who's trying to push past their own barriers. I am still to this very day. And it is a very hard thing for me to do, to be as open, specifically like my personal life. I don't talk about that. Even it's good. It's just, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm saying that it's just, I don't get into it too much. But yeah, you guys got to listen to me for a good amount. I don't usually rant, but I want you guys to understand who I am, why I'm here to serve you guys, what my mission is for, and that I really, really want to take care of every one of you, and that without going down the rabbit hole of education and work and business, that at the end of the day, I'm here for your best interest. And again, hopefully you guys got value out of this video. Let me see who's in here watching at the moment. Pete, how are you doing? Rand, how are you? Okay, I have people texting me. Guys, I gotta go because I have a few things I want to do before 2 o'clock. Nice to hear it. So I have a few things I have to do before 2 o'clock, but a last ending note, my last minute. You guys are rock stars. I'm here to position you guys in the best place possible. I want to make sure that if you have more than one option on the table, I show you them. But I tell you what is the best thing to do right now and how to approach it. What do the numbers look like? And if it offends you that, like I spoke about earlier, we spoke on this. If you're just joining me, I spoke about the average interest rates for different types of business loans. Expect there to be a higher amount. Expect that to be the case. And I sometimes fight with this at night because I run multiple businesses. I don't know if you guys do, but I run multiple ones. This isn't the only one I do. So I'm so caught up. I have had people today texting me out of the blue. I've had people asking me a follow-up question, and I can't always respond right in the second that they respond to me because I have projects I'm overseeing. I'm blogging 1 second. I'm having to speak with a few bits of people over here, or I'm having to send an email there, and I'm making sure my content is there. So for me to take my attention away from that, it would have to be very severe, and it would have to be a part of like, okay, 10 minutes in, now I got to jump into this, that type of a scheme. And you guys can relate with that. So be happy as much as you can with what interest rate you are getting. Don't look at it as a negative. It isn't a negative, right? We have to change our perspective. Some things may cost a much higher amount. It's like when you go buy a car. You know, if you guys bought an over $150,000 car, and you're like, well, I'm very proud that I have it. Just imagine what taking in 150,000, let alone 20,000, maybe in the middle around 60 to 70K, and you can use those funds to deposit it in your account, even same day, sometimes within a day to two, even as much as a week, depending on your file. You grab that amount. You're like, well, I got to use this fund for marketing. This one's going to go to advertising. I got to purchase a couple of vehicles here. And then I have this project for expansion there. Great. I'm allocating my costs, my budgeting. I'm looking at my Excel spreadsheets or whatever program you're on, because I've done this a lot for companies. And I'm dispersing it. Whoa, this department just got a boost in an extra 20 to 30,000. Who knew that using this for my marketing campaign would have brought in an extra 20 to 30,000, a 20x, 30x ROI? And that's a lot. But then you're using this over here for a vehicle, and you're like, wow, this vehicle just got me an extra 30,000. So now that 100,000, if we think about the numbers, and I'm not being exact here, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, it adds up over time. And you're like, well, I only needed to pay back 30,000, so I got 100K as what I wanted. I got 130,000 I have to pay back, but I increased to 200,000 within this month, or I'm at 240,000 now within 4 to 5 months. Well, that 130,000 looks very less to that 240,000, or even if you're just trying to keep afloat. So that's why when I ask for what are the funding details you need, I'll give you certain options. If people tell me COVID relief and they tell me they're making maybe a minimum and what their requirements or maybe what their expectations are, it may be a lump sum, or it might be more so a business line of credit or emergency funds for cash flow reasons, etc. Then I'll make sure I give you the right amount. So that'll conclude everything in this video, guys. Hopefully you got a good amount of value from this interest rate video. Keep up to date with my information for the YouTube channel, on the blog. I'm releasing some new content coming up. Different channels here too. And keep an eye or two on your email, because I will send them to you. And please, 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 I can't overemphasize this. Let's save our energy and time. Please. If I send an email, I'm taking my time to put that email together. So look it open. It's not an automated one. It's not where like these companies just send you, hey, come over here and check out your options. Hey, come over here and do this. If you do, the problem with it, very quickly, and I'll go, is people from like Lendio and all these other services, they get their offers, but they're not the best ones. People bid to show up on their platform. That doesn't mean squat. That doesn't mean that's the best thing for you. And then now you're putting in all these applications. It might be soft credit pulls, maybe even a hard one. And you're like, well, now where do I go? Where do I turn to? And then, you can come back here and ask me, look, this is what I did. This is what happened. Do you remember that email I sent you maybe like 2 weeks ago? I didn't get it. Can you please go to your Gmail? I'll send you an extra one, but if you go to your Gmail or wherever it is on your account, I've sent it there, and you can also use the search feature. You can use it, and I tell you guys this a lot ahead of time. So that'll conclude everything from me, guys. Be resourceful, be at your best, continue to move your business forward, continue to build it, grow it, expand it, even get out of a tight pinch. Talk to you guys later. Bye.